Welcome to Turtlebird Reviews, brought to us by the Irish studio that produced Song of the Sea, The Breadwinner, and The Secret Book of Kells comes Wolfwalkers, which is their latest 2D animated feature-length film from Cartoon Saloon.
This movie is yet another breathtaking submersion into Irish folklore and mythology, filled with gorgeous artwork and music. The story itself explores powerful themes of growth, change, and self-discovery, all tangled in the complicated love between father, daughter, mother, and sisters, and how that love both shapes and demands sacrifices from the various characters. It stars Honor Neefsey as Robin, the daughter of an English hunter played by Sean Bean, who is tasked with eliminating the very last of a problematic wolf pack in Ireland. But when Robin crosses paths with a wild native girl, she stumbles into the magical world of the Wolfwalkers.
The backdrop of the film is set in Kilkenny, Ireland, around the 1650s. The residents of the town are working to clear the woods for farmland under the orders of the character called the Lord Protector, who's mostly based off of Oliver Cromwell, who's a real historical figure. He was known to be particularly hostile towards the Irish. It is the Lord Protector who summons our character Bill Goodfellow and his daughter Robin from England to hunt down the wolves in the forest.
Robin is overwhelmed by the harshness of the town where she's an outsider, and she longs for nothing more than to hunt with her father in the forest despite the looming danger of the wolves. When she sneaks outside the town walls, she gets more than she bargained for when she actually meets the wolves and discovers that this is no ordinary pack. They're led by a wild girl named Maeve, who leaves her human body and becomes a wolf when she sleeps. She and her mother are the last of a tribe of what are called Wolfwalkers, who wield a sort of healing magic. After going off in search of a new place for her pack to live, Maeve's mother has gone missing and left her daughter alone in the forest. Robin promises Maeve that she'll help her find her mother, but this turns out to be a task a lot more difficult than she first imagined.
The pacing of Wolfwalkers is quick and exciting, but it still leaves you plenty of time to take in the fearful beauty of this world. The main plot is a pretty simple one. On the surface, it might appear to be a typical story of how oppressors learn to sympathize with the oppressed once they're forced to live a day in their shoes. But the core of Wolfwalkers is much more than this. Robin, our protagonist, is afraid of the wolves only for a short time before she learns of their hidden world. She quickly understands that they need help, not to be destroyed.
At this point in the film, Robin is divided between two worlds: the oppressive closeness of town life and the forest where she can run free with Maeve. This divide opens wider as Robin comes to understand that something is not right about the Lord Protector. This in turn causes a rift between her and her father. The conflict worsens as they try to understand one another, not realizing that they both feel as though they must choose between being caged into a life they don't want or risk losing each other. The real heart of the film is how Bill's love for Robin and him wanting to keep her safe collides with her yearnings for freedom and the true nature of the wolves. This dynamic is, I think, extremely well done, and as the film progresses, each story beat just keeps you hooked and builds toward an emotional climax which, while it's not unexpected, it is pretty satisfying and even gut-wrenching at times.
This film has absolutely gorgeous animation and style throughout. In wide pans and fast action sequences alike, the 2D animation looks amazing. Part of this is because the studio used traditional hand-drawn technique alongside digital animation. The result looks both classic and refreshingly modern at the same time.
The visuals in this film are all about contrast. The contrast between the harshness and corruption of the town, drawn with bold blocks and duller colors, and then the freedom and beauty of the forest, drawn with fluid spirals and vibrant designs. Present throughout the story is the tension between the Irish people and the authoritarian regime of the English in the Lord Protector's character. This villain, based off the real person, Oliver Cromwell, truly believes he's doing God's will by colonizing the land and its people, but has brought only misery and strife to Ireland. English soldiers crowd the streets of Kilkenny, enforcing his rule over a reluctant people. In spite of this, the film explores a friendship that grows between an English girl and an Irish girl, a bond which is then tested by events later in the story that force them to make some difficult decisions. So one of my favorite things about the style of this movie is that it resembles that of a children's book, and just how scenes are drawn and how the animation looks. So many scenes showcase the detail and flair you would expect from something like that medium. An unknown pair of eyes peering from a bush is shown very closely, surrounded by thorns and leaves all over. A dimly lit cave reveals hundreds of magical runes and symbols, As we see the subjects enter the cave, a wolf leaps into frame onto a roof in a moonlit cityscape. The film is bursting at the seams with charm and soul, and it's really hard to describe how enchanting it is without you just watching it.
Sounds magically delicious. The score of the film creates lively, magical, and emotional themes with both traditional Irish instruments and a full orchestra. It captures the passion on screen perfectly with soaring vocals and inspiring rhythms, and it's worth a listen all on its own if you get the chance.
So the voice acting in Wolfwalkers is pretty great. From the film veteran of Sean Bean from Lord of the Rings to the young blood of Eva Whittaker, everyone does a tremendous job here and sells the intense emotions and thrills of the film beautifully. Almost every bit of care poured into the script is also on display in the performances.
All in all, the story and characters are lovingly written into an engaging and emotional adventure. The Irish culture that we get to see is, as per usual with Cartoon Saloon, wonderfully authentic and woven into the story seamlessly. The dialogue is well crafted, the world is established effectively, and it makes sense. The plot itself does tend to hold on to some tropes that are common in coming-of-age stories, but this doesn't detract from the beautiful character moments and unique charm that the film has.
The characters are fantastic overall. Robin gives us an intimate look into the struggles of growing up and the challenge of solving a problem that seems much bigger than oneself. Her dad is a positive portrayal of a downtrodden father doing his best to care for his daughter in the midst of hardship. It's nice to see some positive parental figures in films like these that are not the villain of the story, but they're on our main character who's a kid. They're on their side. They're helping them. They want what's best for them. Maeve is a wild girl from the forest who serves as a picture of fierce loyalty to her family and a perfect friend for Robin just when she needs it. And then the villain of the story, the Lord Protector, is sufficiently intimidating and serves his purpose well, but ends up being a little bit one-dimensional. Of course, his character takes a backseat to the other relationships that are being fleshed out on the screen. But they probably could have done a little bit more work on him.
Wolfwalkers is a work of art. It's a modern Irish fairy tale, a positive story for kids, and a masterpiece of emotive character work all wrapped up into one.
It might appear to some to be sort of just a tropey adventure movie for kids, but it is a lot more than that. The mature themes of family and identity, the tightly written script, for the most part, and the masterful visuals on display put Wolfwalkers a step above the rest. We absolutely loved it, and we can't wait to see what this studio comes up with in its next film.
And plus, this is one of the only studios that is still consistently doing 2D animation nowadays.
Yeah, almost all the major studios have shifted their focus to 3D, and Cartoon Saloon continues to use, like we said, modern technology to stay true to the traditional 2D format. And not that one's better than the other, but it just seems like it's more rare nowadays, and we really like to see films like this that are both really, really professionally done and also have a sort of traditional feel to them.
What will we rate it?
I would rate it...
Is it an A or an A+?
I would rate it an A.
Yeah.
I would say.
It's not entirely perfect in like its villains and stuff. But
it's not perfect.
It is
but
pretty dang good.
It's just so good. Any lacking that the movie has with the development of the villain or how simplistic some plot points are, anything lacking in that point is more than made up for by just how strong the emotional beats are and how much work they've clearly put into the characters and the charm of the world. It's quite good. Not quite masterpiece level, but just really,
the artwork
really good.
is definitely masterful.
Oh yeah, and there's a book that's just come out called The Art of Wolfwalkers, which looks interesting because they did a lot of work on that. We rate it an A, and
and you should check it out.
You should.
That's it from us today. Be sure to like and subscribe. We're only saying this because we feel like we have to.
Yeah. But please do, because we're going to be releasing more reviews and maybe some more in-depth analysis as well for different films. So keep in touch, and we'll see you guys next time. Adios.